Symmetric cryptography is the workhorse behind most real-world encryption. It protects disks, databases, backups, and the bulk of TLS traffic. In this topic, we'll look at what symmetric encryption is, why it's so fast, and how it keeps enterprise data confidential in practice. Modern secure systems split the job in two. First, they establish identity and trust. That's where PKI and asymmetric cryptography shine. Certificates and key pairs prove who you are and prevent impersonation. Once identity is in place, the system switches to bulk data protection. Symmetric cryptography takes over, using a shared secret key to encrypt large volumes of data efficiently during high-speed communication or storage. Symmetric cryptography revolves around a single shared secret key. The same key encrypts data and later decrypts it. Because both sides use identical keys and relatively simple operations, symmetric algorithms are extremely fast and scale well to large amounts of data. The trade-off is key distribution. You must share that key in a way that no one else can see or copy it. Block ciphers chop data into fixed-size chunks, like containers on a conveyor belt. If the last piece doesn't fill a container, we add padding. This makes them predictable to implement and great for general-purpose encryption, but they need modes of operation to handle real-world messages securely. Stream ciphers behave more like a continuous pipe, mixing each bit or byte with a keystream. They're ideal for low-latency streaming or real-time data. AES is the standard workhorse of modern symmetric encryption. When you hear encrypt this database or protect this VPN, it's almost always AES under the hood. It's standardized, rigorously analyzed, and even built into CPUs for speed. Key sizes like 128, 192, and 256 bits mainly change the security margin, not how you configure or use AES. When we compare symmetric ciphers, we're really defining what's allowed by policy. RC4 is a stream cipher with well-known biases and practical attacks, so it must be fully disabled. 3DES is a block cipher that's become too slow, with a small block size that risks leaking patterns, so it needs a defined migration timeline. AES, with its 128-bit block and modern design, is the mandated default for new systems and configurations. A block cipher like AES is just the engine. It encrypts one fixed-size block at a time. To handle real data, we need a chassis around that engine. This is the mode of operation. Modes like ECB, CBC, CTR, and GCM define how blocks are chained, padded, and protected. Choose the wrong mode, and even a strong algorithm can become unsafe. Electronic Code Book, or ECB, encrypts each block independently. Identical plaintext blocks produce identical ciphertext blocks, so structure and patterns in the data leak straight through. For images, database records, or protocol headers that can reveal far more than you expect. Cipher block chaining, or CBC, addresses this by chaining blocks together with an initialization vector. Each block's ciphertext depends on the previous one, destroying visible patterns, but adding IV management and padding requirements. CTR mode takes a block cipher like AES and effectively turns it into a stream cipher. Instead of encrypting plaintext blocks directly, it encrypts a changing counter and XORs that keystream with the data. This lets us parallelize encryption and decryption and avoids padding entirely. GCM goes one step further. It reuses CTR for confidentiality, then adds a fast Galois field authenticator, delivering both encryption and integrity in a single efficient mode. Traditional modes like ECB, CBCBC, and plain CTR mainly provide confidentiality. The data is hidden, but an attacker could still flip bits and corrupt it without being detected. AEAD modes such as GCM, often referred to as AES GCM, bundle encryption and authentication. They produce both ciphertext and an authentication tag, so the receiver can detect any modification. In practice, modern TLS and VPN designs should strongly prefer AEAD modes over legacy encrypt-only modes. In CTR and GCM modes, the cipher turns the block algorithm into a keystream generator. The keystream depends on the key plus a nonce or IV plus a counter. If you ever reuse a nonce with the same key, you recreate the exact same keystream. At that point, two ciphertexts become plaintext, one XOR plaintext 2, which an attacker can exploit to recover both messages, especially when there's structure or known text. IVs and nonces don't need to be secret, but they must be unique per key for the lifetime of that key. TLS really runs in two phases. The connection starts with a handshake, where asymmetric cryptography and certificates authenticate the parties and agree on fresh, ephemeral session keys. This part is relatively expensive, but it happens only once per connection. After the handshake, symmetric AEAD, typically AES GCM, takes over. The session key feeds a fast, authenticated cipher that protects all application data, providing confidentiality and integrity at wire speed. For data at rest, symmetric encryption does the heavy lifting for full disk file and database encryption. Each disk or database uses a data encryption key or DEK to protect the actual data. Those DEKs are then wrapped by a higher-level key encryption key held in a key management system. Notice what shifts. The algorithms are standard. The real security challenge becomes key rotation, separation of duties, and strict access control in and around that KMS. When you design symmetric crypto for the enterprise, lock in 4 habits. First, standardize on AES for bulk data. It's universally supported and well-studied. Second, require AEAD modes like AES GCM, so you get confidentiality and integrity together. Third, enforce strict never-reuse rules for IVs and nonces in code, libraries, and configurations. Finally, treat keys like crown jewels. Store them in HSMs or key vaults, and rotate them on a defined schedule. Symmetric cryptography is the engine that actually protects data at rest and in motion. It's fast, efficient, and what real systems rely on every day. Next, we'll move to asymmetric crypto and digital signatures, and see how they create trust and safely deliver those symmetric keys.